No-bake cheesecakes may feel intimidating to make, but I promise you they're actually really easy. You only need 5 main ingredients, and I'm gonna give you all my tips and tricks today to make an amazing no-bake cheesecake. I'm also gonna give you lots of options and add-ins and substitutions, so you can pretty much make this cheesecake any flavor you like. So let's begin. Step 1, we're gonna crush up our biscuits. I'm gonna use a mini food processor to do this. If you don't have one, you could always use a bag and rolling pin or anything you have to hand. I'm using digestive biscuits today because this is a real classic in the UK and it tastes great in the base of a no-bake cheesecake. If you're from the US, you could use graham crackers. They will work just the same as digestive biscuits, but you can actually use any biscuit or cookie you want. So think chocolate chip cookies, think Oreos, think Lotus Biscoff biscuits. You will need to adjust the butter slightly, but we will come to that. Okay, so I'm just gonna break these up and pop them into my food processor. All the measurements will be down in the description below. Okay, that's all that's gonna fit in there right now. So let's blitz these to a fine crumb. Okay, perfect. So make sure there's no large lumps in there because that can break up your cheesecake. I'm gonna blitz the rest of these and then we'll be back. Okay, so now my biscuits are crushed, I'm gonna pour them into a bowl and I'm gonna mix them with melted butter. So I'm actually gonna be using salted butter today, but you can use unsalted butter. It works just the same. I prefer to use salted butter because I actually like to have a bit of a salty base, but it's totally up to you. So just pour that over your biscuits. Make sure you get all of it in. Now we're just gonna mix these together until it looks like a wet sand. So basically it should hold its shape. If it's too dry, it's gonna fall apart. If it's too wet, it's just gonna be a bit buttery and greasy. So all biscuits are slightly different. Digestive biscuits and graham crackers are quite a, dry biscuit. So you're gonna need more butter, whereas something like shortbread is quite a dense buttery biscuit anyway. So you're gonna need a lot less butter. Same with Oreos as well. Okay, perfect. So that's exactly what it should look like. So I'm gonna grab our tin. So I'm gonna be using an 8-inch springform tin, which has this little clip here. You can use a tin more like this, which just has a removable base, but they'll just come out differently. So I'll explain that bit when we get to it. I usually line mine with a 8-inch round piece of parchment paper. I actually bought these. I didn't cut this one out. I think that's just a great idea. I got them from Lakeland, just in case you guys want to know. You can also line the edge of your tin with a piece of parchment paper, like a strip of it. I tend not to, but it's definitely an option if you want to get out the tin nice and easily and have that perfect edge as well. So I'm just going to scoop in our base. Oh, I forgot to give you a little tip. Let me get another tin so I can show you because I feel like this is important. So the base of the tin has sort of a little lip around the edge. So this way is the way that it kind of should be, that it sits inside the tin really nicely, but it makes it really difficult to get your cheesecake out. So if you flip it upside down, you don't have that little ribbed edge, lip on the edge. So if you just hold it and then clip it in like that, then the actual lip, so the gap on the bottom, the dip, you know what I'm saying, don't you? Is at the bottom, so then this is nice and flat. So that is how I've done this one here. Okay, so back to scooping in our biscuits. And then just push that out to the edge with the back of your spoon. So you're gonna press this down nice and firmly so the biscuits are really compact because it needs to hold together and you don't want your base to break. I quite like a nice thick base for my cheesecake, but if you don't like as thick a base, you can always use a bigger tin and use the same measurements, or you can use the same size tin and you can just decrease the measurements slightly of both the biscuits and the butter, and that will give you a slightly thinner layer. There we go. That looks great. So I'm gonna go set this aside in the fridge whilst we make the filling. So you need another nice big bowl, and we're gonna start by adding our cream cheese. So I like to use a really nice thick cream cheese like Philadelphia, full fat. Some cream cheeses can be a little bit loose and a little bit watery. Some supermarket own brands can be like that. So try not to use them because they can make your cheesecake a bit looser and not set as well. So in goes our cream cheese. Your cream cheese should be at room temperature because that helps it mix more easily and doesn't leave any little lumps in there either. We're also gonna add in icing sugar, which gives the cheesecake its sweetness, and it also gives it some structure as well. Now, this is where you can add in your flavors. So I'm using vanilla extract today, and I'm using a nice fancy one, a good one. Because it's my only flavor, I wanted to make sure that it was a good one, you know? So this is where you could also add in, for example, melted chocolate or Nutella or Biscoff spread or anything you want. Basically, as long as the thing you're adding in is solid when it's in the fridge, or almost solid, like Nutella is almost solid when it goes in the fridge, for example, that's gonna allow your cheesecake to set nicely. If you add in something too runny, for example, a lot of strawberry puree, which is gonna make this mixture very runny, then you'll also need to add some gelatin as well to help it firm up and help it set. So in goes the vanilla. I'm gonna add about 2 teaspoons. And then grab your electric mixer. I really prefer to use an electric hand mixer for this, or you can use a stand mixer. You can do it by hand. It's just gonna take a little bit longer, and this is just a lot easier. I'm using my nice pink Smeg one, but you can get one for about maybe £15 from Sainsbury's. I used one from, I think it was Sainsbury's, for years before it finally gave up on me. That cost me, I think, £12. So if you can get one, I'd really recommend it. Okay, amazing. So make sure you don't overmix this. You just want to mix it until everything is combined and there's no lumps left, because if you overmix it, it will go runny. So I'm gonna set this aside and then we're gonna whip our cream. So now we're gonna whip our double cream. In the UK, I use double cream. In the US, your best substitute is heavy cream or whipping cream. So let's carefully pull this lid off without getting my dress dirty. I should have put on an apron for this, really. So in that goes. And then again, this is where your electric mixer will come in very handy because you can whip this by hand. It's gonna take a while and it's gonna be a real workout for you. So in goes the electric mixer, and we're gonna whip these to stiff peaks. Okay, perfect. So they are nice stiff peaks. And to get your cream to whip to stiff peaks, it needs to be nice and cold. So if it's too warm, it's gonna take forever and you probably won't get there as well. You can also refrigerate your bowl and your beaters as well to help speed it up. So let's bring back our other ingredients and we're gonna put them together. I've brought back our cream cheese mix, so I'm gonna add in our double cream. You could do it this way, but for some reason, I always add in the cream this way. So just scooping that on top. And as you can see, I've switched to a spatula here and put away my electric mixer because you're actually just gonna fold these together. So folding these together ensures that the mixture stays nice and thick and you don't overmix. So try and get right underneath it and turn the whole mixture over so you get all the bits at the bottom as well. Okay, so you can see the thickness of this mixture. So this is exactly how your cheesecake should look before it goes into your tin. And that's how you know your cheesecake is gonna set really nicely, because if it's too runny when you pour it in, the chances are your cheesecake, even when it's set, is also going to be quite runny, unless of course you've added gelatin. One thing I also will say about cheesecakes is that they are quite forgiving when it comes to exact measurements, meaning if you have 20 grams less of cream cheese or icing sugar or chocolate or something like that, it's not gonna make a huge difference to your cheesecake. If you want some inspiration of cheesecakes, then you can look on my social media or in my book, No-Bake Baking, shameless plug. It has loads of cheesecake options that you can look at, like how much Biscoff I put in, for example, or how to make a lemon cheesecake. So let's grab our tin from the fridge and we will top it with our cheesecake mixture. I don't know why I did that. So I'm gonna scoop this onto our base. going to start with about half first, and I'm just going to press down that first layer. So you want to make sure you go all the way to the edges when pressing it down because we don't want any air bubbles. Try not to scratch the edge of your tin with your metal spoon because I've definitely done that many times and it removes the non-stick coating. There we go, and then the rest of it. And again, just pressing that down on top of it, all the way to the edges. Okay, perfect. So if I was gonna add a topping on top of this, such as a ganache or like a layer of Biscoff spread or something, that is one of my favorites, then I would probably just leave it like this. But because this is gonna be our topping, I'm gonna make it look a little more fancy. So I'll be back with some tools. Tool number 1 is my cake turntable, and tool number 2 is my palette knife. So let's stop that there. I'm just gonna pop our cheesecake into the middle. There's actually a perfect 8-inch round line on here. So starting from the edge, you're just gonna press down gently and you're just gonna turn this clockwise or anti-clockwise if you are left-handed. And then you're just gonna start to bring the palette knife closer and closer towards you. And then that is gonna give you a nice swirl in the middle until you finish and just lift it up. So you can do that literally as many times as you want to get your perfect swirl, but I'm pretty happy with that. So let's just stop that there. I'm gonna refrigerate this now for at least 6 hours. I tend to do my cheesecakes overnight, but at least 6 hours please, as that's gonna make sure that it's fully set. And then we will add our toppings. So I'll be back in a few seconds. Our cheesecake is now set, but before I take it out of the fridge, I'm gonna whip our cream for the topping. So this is actually a cream alternative that I like to use. It's called Elmley Double. And I just like this because it just whips really nicely. It kind of gives that silky smooth finish. And it's also really difficult to over whip, which I just think is perfect for a topping. But of course, you can always use your regular double cream or heavy cream or whipping cream. It's totally up to you. So let's pour this into our bowl. And whip to stiff peaks. Okay, they are nice stiff peaks, so I'm gonna transfer this into a piping bag. I have made a mess. So you will need a piping bag, your favorite piping nozzle. This one is a 2D, which looks like this. Some scissors, whoop, and optionally a clip as well. Is this clean? So you're going to place your nozzle inside, oh my gosh, I just dropped that, inside your piping bag, squeeze it up slightly, cut off the end, and then place your bag over your glass. Then you're going to spoon in your cream. I like to use like a smaller spoon or spatula to do this. It's just a bit more accurate and you can push it down a bit better. So you make a little tower, a little cream mountain before it topples over. Oh no, maybe that was too ambitious. And then very carefully, you're gonna pull your piping bag over the cream. Try not to scrape the edges. There we go. And then you can scoop the rest of your cream in. Okay, once it's all in, just make sure it goes down to the bottom. Lightly squeeze it and twist that end. Grab your little clip and then just clip that just to hold it in place. And also it gives you something to hold as well, so just a little bit more grip. So let's go get our cheesecake. Okay, we're back. Our cheesecake is fully set. So my cheesecake has been in the fridge overnight. So I'm gonna show you how I release it. So I'm back with my cake turntable and my palette knife. If you have lined the edge of your tin or the inside of your tin with parchment paper, baking paper, then you won't need to do this. But if you haven't, like I haven't, then we're just gonna start to just go around the edge of the cheesecake, with the knife. So just using the turntable to help you. You don't have to have a turntable to do this. And you're just gonna be pushing it against the edge, and this is just literally gonna release the cheesecake from the side of your tin, and it's gonna come off nice and easily, we hope. Again, just pushing against the edge of the cake tin at all times, but not so hard that it flies off your turntable. Okay, so that is all the way around. So let's unclip our ring and hope for the best. Okay, so you see it comes out really nicely, and then just make sure that's fully open, and then this is a bit like a game of operation. Okay, so it doesn't look perfect just yet, but we're gonna make it look perfect. So any cheesecake that you have left on the edge of your cheesecake ring, cake tin ring, then you can literally just scrape it off carefully and start to fill in the gaps that you may have created on the edge of your cheesecake, and then we're gonna smooth it out. Okay, so now I've filled the gaps, I'm gonna switch to my palette knife, and I'm just gonna smooth out those edges just by going around the edge, just nice and gently, and just turning my turntable at the same time. You can save this or eat this. That is looking good now, so we're gonna add our topping. So with our cream, I'm just gonna pipe a nice big swirl onto our cheesecake, and then I'm gonna go on the opposite side. And you can make these as big or as small as you like, and you can do as many as you want. If you want to cover the whole cheesecake in them, go for it. You just might need a little bit more cream. Okay, so I did 8 blobs, swirls. So that is our topping complete. So let's take it off the base and transfer onto something that we can cut it up on, a nice big plate. Okay, so someone actually asked me the other day, how'd you get it off the base of the tin? So I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but this is the way I always do it. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit risky. So let's take this in my hand, and I'm just gonna push the cheesecake off the base onto my other hand, nice flat wide palm. It's fine, the cheesecake should stick together if you've pushed that base down nice and firmly, and then just peel the bottom of that off, so the paper you've got there. Again, transfer it to your other hand, take that paper off, and then you're just gonna slide it onto your serving plate. Ta-da! We did it. Let's cut it up and do a taste test. So grab yourself a nice sharp knife. Make sure it's big enough that it can go all the way into the middle. I'm gonna cut a big slice for the purpose of the camera and you guys, but I'd probably say this serves around 12. It's nice and rich, so you don't need like a ton of it, but totally up to you guys. So let's go in between this little gap here. And then just pulling out the back, clean your knife, angle it, and push down. Make sure it goes all the way through the base. Okay, let's transfer this to a plate. Last time I did this, I dropped it. Ta-da! Oh, it looks so good. I'm very pleased with that. So let's do a taste test. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's just so creamy, and I love the salty base with it. Oh, it's just so good. And the vanilla is coming through really well. It's just so good. So like I said at the beginning, this is a basic vanilla cheesecake that you can jazz up and add your own different flavors, put your own twist on it to make it any flavor cheesecake you like. So I really hope this video was helpful. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Let me know in the comments section what recipe you'd like me to see next, what recipe you'd like me to make next. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.